Hi, and welcome to Rise, Heal, and Grow. I'm Leah M. Hill. This show is a podcast production of Apollo Sunrise Center, which is a health, wellness, and spiritual retreat center in Merrimack, Massachusetts. On this show, we shine the light on those who nurture wellness and inspire positive change. My guest today is Bobbi Lerman. She is a writer, storyteller, and instructor, and founder of Scribblers Ink, an online community for writing. Hi, welcome. Welcome, Bobbi. It's great to have you here.
Good to be here.
So we want to talk about your writing.
Okay.
And you actually started from a pretty young age with your inspiration in your writing. How did that happen?
I did. I was probably 8 or 9.
Oh, that is, yeah.
I grew up in a 3-family house in Peabody, filled with relatives. So it was very noisy and chaotic, loving, but privacy was a scarce commodity.
Oh, I imagine.
And, you know, getting away from various siblings and cousins who inflicted a lot of teasing, you know, and bickering because they're siblings and cousins.
Right,
so we had in the backyard a row of, it was amazing actually, 100-year-old lilac trees, and their roots were very high. So that was my hiding place. I used to go.
Really?
I used to go sit under there. And when I was about 8 or 9, my mother gave me a diary. And at first, it was about my, you know, just journaling. And I've been a journaler since I was 8 or 9.
Wow.
And it started with, you know, it would be nice if my brother and 2 sisters were sold to gypsies or to the circus, and I became an only child.
Right. So you're starting imagining even at that young
wouldn't that be lovely?
Right,
and
story.
My parents really wouldn't be all that upset about it after they adjusted, you know. And it evolved into, you know, after I got over that, and as I aged a little bit, you know, and probably toward 11 or 12, it became writing my own stories about, a lot of times it was depending on what I was reading. When I was 11 or 12, I was very into Nancy Drew. So I
loved Nancy Drew.
Right.
Yes.
So I spent the summer imagining I was like an extraordinary teenage preteen detective, and I would make up stories featuring me as Nancy Drew. And I lived in Peabody, and there wasn't a lot of call for teenage detectives,
right.
so to say. And then my mother was she was a huge reader, and she was a huge book person. And I could read by the time I went to kindergarten, because my mother, who also needed a little peace and quiet every day, from the time I was 4 till kindergarten, every afternoon would take me to the library.
Every afternoon?
Yeah, and I think my aunts and uncles were lovely people, but a little bossy. And my mother was not a bossy person. So her escape was the library. And we would eat lunch, and she'd leave my sister who my younger sister wasn't born yet, with my aunts and uncles, and we'd go to the library. She taught me to read, and she would be reading me stories, and then eventually I would be reading her stories.
Wow.
And for her, magic was not wizards and witches and fairies, although she gave me stories about that. For her, words were the magic, and the place that they kept books were the magic. And the power. And she's the one, and actually I wrote a story about it called My Mother's Gift, and it's about the gift of the power of words and storytelling, and how that can transform you and transport you. So she was mainly responsible for me becoming a writer and a traveler, because she would give me books all the time about these people in faraway places. And that opened up the world that I figured existed beyond the borders of our neighborhood in Peabody.
Right, and that's fantastic, because the way you were brought up, first of all, with all of those people in the house, probably gave you lots of, you know, fodder, dialogue, things to write about, human behaviors, those kinds of things that you didn't even know at the time were like forming, helping to form the stories. And then to have the experience of spending that much time in the library, a quiet, reclusive place for you to just let your imagination go and experience all those things. Wow, what a gift. That is a gift.
It is. It was
from your
a
mother.
Gift. And she was she could never understand why I became such a traveler.
Yeah.
And I had come home one time from one of my backpacking trips and travels, and she said, I don't get it. I don't understand why you're not settling down and why,
Right.
you know, you're not giving me grandchildren and you know, why you're not living 2 blocks from me. And I said, you gave me all these books.
She inspired you with that magic.
You're the reason I travel. So she's like, oh, I didn't mean that.
Yeah.
You know?
I love that, the magic of words,
Yeah.
you know, that it is very different from what we tend to think about.
It is.
The word's magic.
Right.
So tell us about your travel, because that must have also inspired you you were young also, traveling the world. You said backpacking, and that must have also inspired your stories.
I probably had my passport a year or 2 before I had my license.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I had less interest in driving and more interested in getting out of Peabody and seeing what was out there. And
Seeing the
before I was
world.
in college, it was more visiting a cousin in LA, going away to sleepaway camp in northern Maine, other relatives in New York. And then when I graduated high school in 71, aging myself, I guess, dating myself, okay. Most of my friends were, you know, thinking about, they were more interested in boyfriends and Bride magazine, and
Right.
even in the first year of college, many of my friends got married by the end of the first year of college.
Right, I imagine.
I had the TWA getaway schedule memorized. And,
Really?
and, you know, I was like, where can I go?
You were like ready at any moment
I
to
wanted,
take off.
I wanted out, and I wanted to meet people who weren't from Peabody and who lived a different life than me, and spoke a different language, and I wanted to see the world. And I did that by going to Israel and working on a kibbutz, which is a huge communal farm.
Okay.
And that's where I met kids my age from all over the world.
Really?
And I learned to speak Hebrew, which I can no longer speak because it's been
Oh,
40 years. So
Been a while, but
Don't
that's
ask me
okay.
to say anything except I'd like an ice cream.
Okay.
And where is the bathroom? I did learn how to say where is the bathroom in
Right.
probably 40 languages.
Right.
And from there, it was a base. I backpacked through you know, Europe and through Greece, meeting other people that wanted to do that, and you know, just discovered the world.
So that experience, I mean, first of all, that goes to show how important it is that your mother introduced you to the reading, writing, magic, as you said, of the books and the stories, but then to give yourself that gift of travel at that time when, like you said, a lot of people are looking to settle down, figuring out where they're going to, you know, build their career and have their house and get married and all of that, and you're out traveling the world and all these different countries and backpacking. I mean, that was really, you know,
It
really
was.
wild, but
It was.
it's amazing. But it must have shaped your writing in a lot of different ways.
It shaped my writing. It changed my perspective on you know, as a child and as a teenager, you're sort of taught the beliefs of your parents, and,
Right.
and the prejudices of your parents, and you know, good or bad. You sort of take that as true. And when you, I think one of the best things about travel, I think if everybody was encouraged to travel for at least a year or 2, racism would disappear, because the other would become somebody's mother or somebody's father or
Right.
somebody's sister, brother, or friend, and you open up to that. You open up to what they think and where they come from in their stories, you know, and that directly impacts not just how I wrote and the stories I thought about writing, but it impacts who you are, who I was, and changed my perceptions. And I grew up in a middle-class, conservative Jewish household, and my parents were, for the most part, not prejudiced. And but they had a very skewed perception of Israel.
Oh.
And for example, my mother didn't believe that there were hookahs in Israel, and I had to like send her a few pictures of the red light district in
Really?
Tel Aviv. You know, she was very upset by
Well,
this.
maybe she,
You know, right.
she had like
That- but-
a silo view.
Yeah, that different countries have you know, good, bad,
Right.
indifferent.
They all have it, right.
You know, there is no black and white. You know, there is gray. And I think if people would, it taught me to listen and talk to people and not judge them because of where they came from,
Yeah.
and maybe what I read about them, which is often not true.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And that's fantastic too, because even like you said, I agree with you. I think travels like builds character,
It
if
does.
nothing else. It builds character within yourself. But for people who can't do that kind of travel, having those stories about
Right.
people and that are influenced by people from other cultures and countries and religions and all of that, I
Right.
think really can do a lot to end racism, as you mentioned, and all kinds of prejudice.
It
as
can,
well. Right.
and those experiences became my stories. I mean,
Yeah.
one of the stories that was recently published in A Certain Age, which is an online magazine
Okay.
for women over 50, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
It's called Hitchhiking in Israel. It happened when I was like 18 or 19. And my theme of the story was there is a God because God protects the stupid and the insane. And how 18, 19-year-olds feel that they're immortal and nothing bad can happen
Oh,
to them.
yes. Right.
Okay?
Right.
And it was about an experience I had. I had hitched down from the kibbutz I lived on to a party in Tel Aviv,
Okay.
and I had decided to leave for reasons I honestly can't recall.
Okay.
I'm sure it had something to
You're
do with the
making
boy.
me nervous, but
Yeah.
okay. All
I'm,
right.
I'm sure it had something to do with the boy.
Right.
Because everything at my age at 18 had something to do with the boy.
Right.
And, you know, what that was at the time, I absolutely cannot tell you. Anyways, I decided to leave and hitch back to the kibbutz. And I got a ride at first from a couple with two like tweens in the back seat.
Okay.
And that was a torturous ride for about an hour. They took
Okay.
me halfway, and then they left me off at a crossroads that was pretty deserted it was turning dusk. And if I had a more mature mind, I wouldn't have gotten out of the car. But I did, and then a little bit later, another car pulled up, and 5 men got out, and I
Oh
knew
my God.
instinctively this was not going to be a good thing.
Oh my God.
And I had nowhere to go. I had nowhere to
And you're
run.
all alone in
I was
this
all
other
alone,
country.
no houses around me.
Oh, my God.
And all of a sudden, a battered old station wagon wheels up, and the back door flies open, and I look in, and I see a woman who is veiled, 2 children, and 2 men in the front, and I figured my odds were better with them than
Yeah,
staying on the
than
stairs.
these
So I
men.
got and jumped in the car.
Oh my God.
It squealed away, and he spoke no English.
Yeah.
The wife spoke no English. The kids, you can communicate with kids, and I figured
Yeah.
out their names from the kids and,
Right.
the mother
Oh
and
my
pointing.
God.
And I ended up spending the night in their village, and the next morning eating with them, and they didn't have a lot of food, and they shared it. And he was Arabic, and he was Palestinian. They were a Palestinian family. And
Fascinating.
the next day when I woke up, and I'm summarizing this story.
Yeah.
And the next day when I woke up, his brother was there who spoke English. And the whole ride back to his village, he kept doing this to me and doing a rant that was over and over. I have no idea what he was saying because
But
I
it
don't
was basically,
It
don't
wa-
ever do that again, is
it
probably what he was saying.
Dumb, stupid American girl. How did your parents ever let you out of the house and go away? And he kept repeating it. But the next day, he took me back to the gates of my kibbutz.
Yeah.
And I never saw him again.
Oh
but
my
this
goodness.
man
That
knew
is like a
I wa-
miracle.
this man knew I was not Muslim,
Yeah.
clearly from the way I was dressed.
Yeah.
He had to know I was Jewish because I had a Star of David on my
Oh,
on my,
so
around
he-
my neck.
yeah.
So hello, and he did a really courageous thing at risk to his own life.
Yeah.
I changed the story in the places because I didn't ever want to
Oh, yeah.
show where it really was.
Okay.
But that changed my perspective on a lot.
Yeah.
And
That's a way to grow
and
up
that-
fast.
Yeah, and that
Yeah.
courage is doing the right thing, even if it's at risk to your own life. And
Yeah.
that's what real courage is.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh my gosh. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
That's-
It was a really epiphany about people.
Right.
And my parents had a very specific perception about Palestinians
Yep.
based on no one they had ever met. You know,
Right.
just
It was
on
just
on
The culture or what
on the
they
culture.
learned. Yeah.
And again, there are good and that's a very gray, complex situation.
Yeah.
There are good, and it would be like saying, well, I don't like who Vladimir Putin is, so I'm going to hate all Russians.
Right. Right.
You know,
but that's what
right.
a lot of us
Yeah.
were taught.
Right.
You know,
and so
it's very much
until you actually experience something
like that.
that changes, and that became a story.
That is a pivotal moment in your life. And I'm
Very
so
pivotal.
glad you were able to write that as a story so that the rest of us can experience think about it and know that how much courage it took for you to do that, you know, to jump in the car.
That was a stupid insane
Well, that was
okay. Okay, I would not recommend doing that.
Not to do that again.
Right. But yes.
But to and then to have it like renew your faith, I think too, your spiritual faith. It sounds like you were very much protected and guided throughout that
and
trip.
to not judge people by where they come from or their religion or their specific beliefs, and you know, get to actually know them. You know?
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the writing process, because you compare writing and the writing practice to actually athletic and musical training.
I do.
How does that work?
Well, a lot of people who, and I'm guilty of it when I first started to really try and write a novel, is you're just going to sit down and you're going to write, and it's, you know, you're going to write from beginning to end.
Right, you think it's so easy, right?
And then you're going to send it out to an agent or a publisher, and then you're going to become Nora Roberts.
Yep.
And why, and it wasn't until I read a book by Natalie Goldberg, who wrote Writing Down the Bones.
Oh yes, I read that.
And she is the person who, I don't know if she invented writing prompts, but she certainly is the first person who promoted it as a means to become a better writer.
So a writing prompt, just so we all know, it's like something that sparks your creativity. It's like a scene, a setting, a situation where you just write from.
Right, correct. Okay. So it's usually to a timed amount of time.
Okay.
So I say you're sitting in a cafe, you have 10 minutes, just write, don't stop, don't think, don't correct. Just
let
write.
it flow.
Just move your hand across the page. But if you think about it, somebody like Yo-Yo Ma didn't wake up one day at 20 and say, I think I'll pick up a cello, and tomorrow I will go present myself to the New York Philharmonic and they will hire me.
Right.
He probably practiced for, I can't even imagine how many hours he practiced the cello before he became Yo-Yo Ma.
Right.
If you think about, I don't know, I'm not a big sports person, so I'm going to date myself.
I'm going to date myself. Just say
so
how many hours.
Arnold Palmer.
Okay.
He did not, at 17, hit one golf ball and say, I think I'll turn pro and go play at the PGA. Right. He's probably been hitting golf balls since he was 2, you know. So writing is no different. Writing is giving yourself permission to write really badly and not show it to anybody. It's practicing the craft. It's reading craft books, it's taking a creative writing class, it's writing over and over and over until
keep doing it.
And keep doing it, and every time you learn something.
Yes.
And you say, well, that didn't work. It's as simple as, I remember when I first started writing Healing Hearts, my first romance novel, I couldn't figure out how to get somebody across the room. How do you do that?
Oh, right. With words.
Right.
Like,
without it being awkward.
Right.
And I remember, so that takes place in like 14th century Scotland.
Okay.
And I remember giving the 3 pages to a mentor who read it, and she sent it back covered in red ink and said, and the first thing she said is, you need to get these people off a horse, and it can't be midnight for the first 3 chapters.
Oh, right.
You know, so it's like, how do you get them off the horse?
Yeah.
How do you make time pass without it seamlessly so the reader stays engaged?
So that's the skill of it. So where your natural, your experiences, your natural inclination and your abilities had brought the story to your head, but then the craft of writing was a different story, right? Having to do that.
Yeah. How do you start a story? How do you hook somebody in? And it's like a painting. You know, you might have an innate ability to paint, and I think people do, but how do you make something look far away?
Yeah.
How do you make something look like a real piece of material that when you're standing in the MFA or the Isabella Gardner or the MoMA in New York, and you're looking at a painting and you feel like you could actually touch that piece of velvet? That's the skill.
That's the skill.
You know what I mean? So it's the same thing with writing.
Yeah, and I remember years ago, because you and I have known each other for many years.
We have. Yeah.
I was a member of one of your writing groups way back when I was writing my book.
You were.
And so we would do that. You would give us a time, you would give us a prompt, And I was really nervous at the beginning of it because I was not used to sharing what I wrote. I was not used to just writing on the fly. You know, I felt like I had to have something in my head to write about. I wasn't used to just like, okay, let's just do it. But it was such a good practice and learning experience for me. Not only, like you said, to build the skill of like answering these questions, how to have the person get off the horse and walk towards you. You know, it's like how to actually write that, but also the things that I learned from the other writers in the group, you know, and when they shared their, I'm like, oh, yes, yes. And then they would share positive feedback for me, because I was afraid of criticism, so that was part of the reason, which I think is common, right? For a lot of people, very common. It's like, oh, I'll write, but I don't want to show it to anybody because I don't want anybody to, like you said, cover it in the red marks that say this is wrong and that's wrong.
And you know, I think it's just giving yourself permission to let what you're thinking out, you know, and not necessarily waiting until that elusive muse shows up and you're in the mood. It's about being a writer is writing even when you're not.
Right.
You know, and sometimes it is staring at the computer screen or the piece of paper and writing a paragraph and not, it's lovely when 7 pages flow out, you know what I mean?
But it does not always happen.
That's the magic of that's the magic of it, and you feel really, really good.
Yeah.
Sometimes you write the 7 pages and then you go back and look at it and say, oh my God, what was I thinking? And there's only like 2 paragraphs that are really usable.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's what I like too about what you said, that using writing prompts gives you that freedom to just write without correcting yourself. You just writing and writing. And then maybe if you write 7 pages in 5 minutes, there's some little gem in there that you can keep or that you can take to your larger project.
There usually is.
Yeah.
And I found too, you know, especially with people who have never written or written creatively, but they've done, you know, academic writing or technical writing for work.
Yeah.
It's really interesting that what comes out of a prompt. And sometimes for them, it's really unexpected.
Right.
It could be something that traumatic that they hadn't thought about or ever acknowledged, and that just comes spilling out.
Right.
Or it can be like a really funny memory, and or just like, wow, this could be a story, this could be a book.
They can actually get the inspiration for their next project from doing that. That's great. And so you're also an avid reader, as most writers are. Are there any like genres or particular authors that help you with your writing or have influenced your voice?
Yeah, I mean, and it takes practice. When you first start writing, I think you mimic other people's voices.
Okay.
Of
good to know.
Of authors that you love.
Yeah,
you know
that's
what I mean?
good to know.
Because you like their voice and you like the way they weave a story. And eventually, if you keep writing, your own voice comes out. Yeah. But yeah, for romance novels, it would be Julie Garwood, who used to write Scottish medievals. And I think at that time I believed in a past life I was Scottish. My mother says absolutely not, but I'm still sticking with that in a past life.
I would say so.
You know, so she was the author that inspired me, got me into romance and the fun of Happily Ever After.
Yeah.
And Diana Gabaldon, who wrote Outlander. The amazing detail of her writing and her ability to transport you into another time.
Right.
And you just
because her books are like really, really thick, many pages.
Right, they're like 1,000 pages or something. But you get lost in those books.
Wow.
And I've been reading her for 20 years or more.
Yeah.
And, you know, I like, you know, I don't want to write it, but I love a good spy novel. You know, so I like Daniel Silva, I like, you know, Le Carre, you know, I have a lot. And all of them, when you read them, influence your writing. You pick up things, you know.
I think so.
How did he, you know, how is somebody really good at description that they don't pull you out of the story.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's the part of the craft of writing also.
Right, that you can just be like gripped by the words and waiting to turn the next page. And I definitely have experienced that. And it reminds me when I was in college, I took a poetry class and I'm not good at poetry, writing it, or even reading it. But I remember one thing she said is as soon as you read anything like that, any kind of creative writing, whether it's a poem or prose or a story, you're never the same.
Yeah.
You're never the same because no matter what it is, even if you didn't like it, there's something that has influenced you in some way or affected you in some way.
Yeah, I mean, even if you don't like it,
yeah,
what didn't you like? So if you're a writer, okay, I don't want to do that.
right,
You know,
and you learn from it.
right
that
yeah.
way of
It's
how to write better.
And also watching movies is a good way to become a better writer because you can break down.
Yes.
You know, because it's so visual.
Yes.
You know,
that's a good idea.
Yeah, and like, how did they hook you in?
Right.
You know, especially with dialogue. You know, so, and the best way to get better at dialogue is to read it out loud.
Oh, okay.
Because you can hear it, and you can.
I need that. So you can do that without even doing the voices, right, of the different characters, but you're just like reading it, but reading it out loud in your own voice.
Yes, and doing the voices is fun. I used to write late at night. Now I'm a very early morning writer. As my age changed, that also changed. I think my clock changed. But
As it does for all of us.
I was writing Healing Hearts, and I think it was 1 in the morning, and I was doing dialogue. I was reading the dialogue I wrote, and I was doing Scottish voices. And my husband, I must have woke him up, and he came running down. Who's in the house?
Oh, no.
So I'm like, oh, it's just me.
You never know.
It's just me.
Wow. So let's talk a little bit about Healing Hearts. It's something you're working on now, in progress?
Yeah, it's something that is pretty much done, and it has to have one more revision. It takes place in 14th century Scotland. And it's
You like those Scotland stories.
I do.
And this is a romance, is it?
It is a romance,
Ooh,
and it's about an
Scottish
English healer.
Oh.
Yeah, and a Highland warrior, and she gets abducted with her son. And there's romance novels always have to have a secret.
Okay.
And there always has to be a betrayal.
Okay.
And there always has to be an obstacle. And I like romance novels where the heroine is not the damsel in distress.
Right.
That love is a bonus. It's not the thing that's going to cure her life.
Right. It's more about who she is as a person. But,
Right.
But that handsome warrior, you know, that just might add to the story a little bit.
Well, no one really wants to read about a short, fat bald guy.
Right.
Let's face it. Okay.
Right.
So,
no, we want the handsome guy.
but even the handsome guy has to have flaws and, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And usually in romance novels, the hero is a really good combination of an Alan Alda, sensitive kind of person. Again, I'm aging myself because, you know.
Yeah, everybody.
Or Bradley, no, he's, and the bad guy, and the bad boy. And, you know, and the only key to a romance novel is that it ends happily ever after.
Right.
But happily ever after is different for every person.
Okay.
So even in a romance novel, that may not be what you expect.
That's good to know because I think people take the endings of stories very seriously when they're readers. You know, they're like, I want it to end a certain way, and they get mad at you if you don't end it a certain way.
Right, and that is a cardinal rule in a romance novel. It does have to end happily ever after.
That's
but
good.
The lore of it is the obstacles and the struggle in the finding of yourself.
Yeah,
which
beautiful.
can be very good.
Yeah. And you also have a book, Lost Voices. Is that another project you're working on?
It's the current project I'm working on. I'm in the middle of the revision, and that is about a woman who, at 32, discovers when her parents are killed that she's adopted. And the theme of the story is basically how much of who you are is dictated by who raised you, and who your bloodline is, and who you choose, what you choose to become.
Right.
So it's kind of about that and her quest to find out
that's
where
beautiful.
where she came from.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait to read it.
Yeah. So hopefully one of these days I'll
hopefully
finish
it's soon.
Yeah.
Right. Hopefully soon.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about your other big project, which is Scribblers Ink, an online writing community that you founded.
It is, yeah.
And this is on Facebook only? Is it?
It's on Facebook, it's on Instagram, and
it's on Instagram.
there is a website where I promote when I do workshops, and I have my blog, and I do book reviews, and a variety of things like that.
Yeah, and I think I saw, if it's on Scribblers Ink, you also feature a different library around the world?
I'm fascinated by libraries, and I think they're very important, and they are transformative, and a public library is available to everybody, no matter what kind of financial stratosphere you happen to land in. And it's a safe place. And yeah, so I feature a library from somewhere in the world
I love that.
every week, and I feature a bookstore because I think, you know, Amazon is lovely.
Yeah.
And I order from Amazon, and I do like getting it the next day.
Right.
And, you know, especially if
But it's nice to highlight those
it is, and I love going to
bookstores.
bookstores.
Yeah.
You know, so I think we need more of them. Yeah.
Right, I think so. And some of the libraries, I know from the photos that you've had on the group, are just gorgeous. They're like these old, hundreds of years old libraries that are absolutely beautiful around the world.
Yeah, and when I
So-
travel, wherever I am, I find public libraries and I go to them.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Wow. And, okay, so for someone who might be wanting to write, but I'm not a writer, I'm not good at it, I don't want anybody to, you know, critique my work or anything, can the writing prompts help them? Like maybe they have a story in their head, kind of like what we all start, you know, you have this story in your head, but how do you actually get to it? So the writing prompts, how can that be helpful? Like with Scribblers Ink and some of the things that you provide?
I think everybody has stories in them.
Yeah.
I don't think you can be human and not have stories in
Yeah,
you.
that's true.
The thing about writing prompts is you can do them alone in the privacy of your own home. Like I post a prompt every day on Scribblers Ink. You can be at home and you can write to it for 5 minutes, for 10 minutes, for 30 minutes. You are not required to post it on Scribblers Ink. Sometimes people do,
Okay.
but it's not a
But
requirement.
you can just do it for yourself.
You can just do it for
Right.
yourself. You don't have to show it to anybody. You know, a prompt can be as simple as the word starfish, or it could be an image that I find somewhere that, you know, I collect old postcards, so it can be an image, and, you know, it takes you where it takes you, and you just give yourself permission to write to it, even if it's 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And you don't have to show it to anybody, you know,
Right.
and then you go to the next prompt, and you'll find if, as you do it, you become more relaxed about it. Your mind opens more, the creative part of your brain, whatever
Yes,
that is.
it does something. It really does.
It does. It opens it. And I think the permission not to have to share it, not to have to show it to anybody,
Right.
frees you.
Gives you a little
You
bit more
know,
freedom.
I mean, you can,
Right.
but you don't have to. And
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who didn't think they could write at all and just started writing prompts.
And then,
Have become, they became a personal essay writer.
Oh,
you know.
wow.
They became a memorist, you know what I mean? Or they just, you know, there's one of my writing friends, she's a really good friend, Susanna Beard, she runs 5 Minute Lit, which you can find online. And it's fabulous because you have to write 5 minutes of your life in 100 words or less.
oh my goodness. Wow, what a
And-
challenge.
And it's easier than you think.
Really?
Oh,
I don't know. I don't think of it as easy,
No,
but
try
I might
it.
have to try it.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's easier than you think, but it's a really short piece of writing.
Okay.
You know, so you don't have to have a subplot and a deep characters.
Right,
and,
you just tell
and
it.
it has to be something from your life.
Okay.
I mean, I was at Salem Lit Fest the other day, and she had the micro Marvel event, which everybody got up and read somebody's 5 minute piece that was
Yeah.
100 words, and mine was about the time my mother used to move all my knickknacks in my house every time she came over, whether I was there or not.
Oh, that's funny.
And my cure for her was to go to her house one day and move all hers.
Right.
And
Makes
yeah,
sense.
And that was the 100-word story. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be something traumatic or something deep. It can be
Right.
funny.
But it's something you can build on if you want
Right.
to, or you can just leave it as it is.
Right.
I like that.
And I've read funny ones and tragic ones and
Yeah.
sad ones, and they're all unique.
That's
because
great.
everybody has a unique voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Well, before we end our show, we do have to talk about this special appearance that
Yes.
you are doing. November 1st and 2nd, we are hosting at Apollo Sunrise Center an event called Voices of the Valley. Let me see if I can show the flyer. It's a literary festival, and Bobbi Lerman here with us is one of our spotlight speakers for Saturday. So you are actually going to be expanding more on what you shared with us today, which is talking about the writing process, using writing prompts, creativity, how to get inspiration. So it's a really wonderful opportunity for anyone. It's a free event. All you have to do is sign up on Eventbrite or on our website, apollosunrise.com, and you can meet all these authors. We're going to have 24 authors, you and another spotlight speaker as well, and learn. So it doesn't matter if you're an author or an aspiring writer or just someone who wants to who loves reading and maybe wants to do some holiday shopping for some books and get some books for the gifts. And we're going to have all different genres too, but you can represent our romance, historical romance and travel genre as well. So it's really going to be a fun event, and I'm so happy that you'll be there to join us.
I'm really excited about it, and my favorite kind of day is spending a day with writers, talking about writing, and all things writing. It just makes me happy.
Oh, what a perfect way to end the show. Thank you, Bobbi. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And it was great. This was fun.
Oh, thank you. This was wonderful. And thank you, all of you who are watching or listening to us today. Please join us again on Rise, Heal, and Grow with Leah M. Hill, because we have lots more episodes coming up.